Good evening, Broncos country, and welcome into a special solo edition of the Mile High Huddle podcast. I am Zack Kelberman, one half of your football priest, and on today's episode, as I mentioned, I'm by myself today. Scott and Chad are out traveling to the Senior Bowl for all those festivities to keep you guys locked in and covered with what's going on there. After the Broncos season did come to an unfortunate end yesterday in the AFC Championship game. So there's a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to give it a second to connect. Hopefully everything is loading correctly. I see there's a green check mark for Facebook. Hopefully that connects. And I see that the room is pretty active already today. I think we have a super from Sam waiting. I'll get to that in 1 second, Sam. Thank you so much. But I want to give, like I said, a second to let the room fill up, let everyone breathe and collect our thoughts here as we digest what happened yesterday. 10-7 defeat at home to the New England Patriots. I won't harp too much on the game because there is a lot of news to talk about post-game, including some coaching movement potentially this week. The Broncos signed 6 players to reserve future contracts. There's a lot. So I'm going to get into all that and where the Broncos go from here, how they're positioned to get back, I think, to the AFC title game. So that being said, I see a bunch of people in the building already, the stream already. Chase, Sam Bam, like I said, Keith, Steve. Who else we got? We got Casey Nickel. What's up, my man? We got Michael Ronquillo. We got String Guy. What is going on? So happy to see you guys. Pearl Heater, what's up? Yes, Casey, it's just me tonight. Like I said, solo edition of the MHH podcast. Chad and Scott both are traveling to the Senior Bowl, so I'll be holding it down tonight. We'll see how long I can go before my voice starts giving out for anyone who watches Kelberman's Korner on Tuesdays. You know the deal with that by now. But a lot to talk about, and instead of just rambling, we're 2 minutes in. I'm going to get to it. Like I said, though, I saw a super from Sam. Let me clean up the supers real quick. Sam, $20 super. Thank you so much. Evening, Zach and Broncos country. Hope we've all had time to decompress emotionally from yesterday. It still hurts, but I remember predicting 11-6 and a playoff win in the preseason. They way overachieved onto 2026. Go Broncos. Yeah, that's the prevailing thought. That's literally my thought. My first thought that I had on the gut reaction last night, Sam, was that, listen, let's take stock of how far the Broncos came, not just in the season, but since 2015, the last time they made it that far. All the misery we went through, all the quarterbacks and the head coaches and ownership searches. Let me just mute my phone like a good podcaster would do. General manager change with George Payton. There's a lot that we suffered through. So the fact they, second year of Bo Nix, third year of Sean Payton, they way overachieved, like you said, Sam. No one, even with Bo Nix over the course of the season, no one had them reaching the AFC Championship. And they kept winning despite every doubt. They had miraculous comeback after miraculous comeback. There's a lot to credit them for. They deserve a lot of flowers. The offensive coaches and players, the defensive coaches and players. I thought the defense played their asses off yesterday. They deserve to win that game, man. But that's how the NFL goes. It's a 22-player sport. 11 offense, 11 defense. You need every player to pull their weight, and unfortunately, the Broncos didn't have their best player, and it came back to bite them yesterday. So, yeah, give them their flowers. Tremendous season. The window is just opening. That's the feeling I get in Broncos country is like, oh, well, we're not going to get back here, and that was it. That was their shot. Yeah, it's tough to get back to where the Broncos got to. There's no guarantee next season they're going to get back to the AFC Championship. A lot did go their way this year for them to host that game and to get the 1 seed and to win the AFC West. But there's also no guarantee they won't get back there. A lot of double negatives there, but there's no guarantee the Broncos aren't the next superpower. There's no guarantee the Broncos aren't the next Chiefs and will hold down the division for the next decade. There's no guarantee that they're not going to be just as good, if not better. And I have no doubt in my mind. This is not speaking as someone who's covered the Broncos, who's emotionally invested in the Broncos. If I was just a football fan and I saw how the Broncos did this season with Bo Nix, and I saw how they played yesterday with Jarrett Stidham, I saw how the Patriots played with Drake May, I would still think this. If Bo Nix was under center, they would have won that game yesterday going away. It would have been a comfortable victory. We would have all been preparing for Super Bowl 60 right now. And instead, It was locker room clean out day at Broncos Park. That's the breaks, though. That's the NFL, man. It's tough. You have to take advantage in the moment. You have to jump through the window. But fortunately, as long as the Broncos have Bo Nix, and as long as Bo Nix stays healthy, God willing, they will always be contenders. They are going to be an AFC superpower for as long as those scenarios hold. So that's the good news from that. The Broncos are now here to stay. I saw another very generous super. I want to get to that. Then I'll tackle the crux of the conversation today. Shannon Mills, thank you so much, Shannon, for your generosity here. $49.99 super. Good evening, Zach. Good evening to you too, Shannon. And Broncos country, proud of our team and think the best is yet to come. Go Broncos. Yeah, that's exactly the same point I just made. There's no guarantee that we're not going to be celebrating the same success this time next year. There isn't. They're going to be running it back with Sean Payton. They're going to be running it back with a healthy Bo Nix. They're going to upgrade, knock wood a billion times. They're going to upgrade the supporting cast around Bo Nix, get him some receiving help, get him some running back help, and pretty much status quo on defense. I was going to say minor changes, but except for maybe the inside linebacking core, there's no other changes the Broncos could make on a major level on defense. And also, it seems Vance Joseph will be back with the Broncos in 2026. So a majority of the pieces, both on the sidelines and on the field, are coming back. And as long as number 10's under center, I give them a good shot as anyone in the AFC to get back. So Shannon, I love the optimism, and I'm right there with you. It sucks. It stings. I'm still not emotionally recovered from the gut punch that was the Bo Nix injury. To me, that was more devastating than actually losing yesterday's game. I don't know about y'all, but I'll never forget doing the gut reaction, celebrating a big win over Buffalo. We were wrapping up the gut reaction chat and then I'm on Twitter because I tend to do that after the games just to follow what Sean Payton's saying. And then I see reports that Bo Nix broke his ankle and he's out for the rest of the postseason. What? My heart has still not recovered from that, but it was tremendous season, Shannon. And yeah, the best is still yet to come. The arrow is skyrocketing upward for the Broncos. All right, Casey, I'm going to get to these supers. I'm already 7.5 minutes in. This is going to be a long podcast, guys. So batten down the hatches, put on a pot of coffee. Casey Nickel, $5 super. Even Bowles mentioned it twice. They need playmakers. I still hope VJ gets a head coaching position so we get the extra draft capital. Yeah, so anyone who's wondering about that, the draft capital would only apply to Vance Joseph. Realistically, he's the only minority candidate who's interviewing right now. It wouldn't apply to Davis Webb because he's not a minority candidate. So if VJ did get a head coaching job, the Broncos, for anyone who's unaware, would get 2 third-round draft picks as compensation, one in 2026 and one in 2027. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you view Vance Joseph, it's not looking like that's going to happen. And in the lead up to the championship game, all the prediction markets and the betting markets, they had Vance as the odds-on favorite to get the Arizona coaching job, which he interviewed for over the Broncos playoff bye week. And now, if you look at the latest odds, he's nowhere mentioned on the list for whatever reason. So it seems, and I haven't heard any official confirmation, and we won't until the Cardinals fill that spot, but I haven't seen anything that would suggest that Vance Joseph is going to be leaving the Broncos. Now, this is kind of awkward really quickly. My mouse just died, my wireless mouse, so I will not be able to scroll the questions until I get it plugged in. Let me plug it in really quickly as you guys just be extra patient with me. This is the beauty of doing a live podcast. If I could just get it plugged in. They don't make these things easy. Okay, so I need to let that charge for like 5 seconds. So I'll tell you what I know. And as my camera now is kind of messing up, this is the beauty of doing live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. Let me just focus up. The technology gods are being as cruel as the football gods today. All right, so we'll let that come into focus. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let me just get to my point while my mouse charges really quickly so I can scroll the questions. Vance Joseph, yes, for anyone who hasn't heard, he's likely staying with the Broncos. Jim Leonard, the defensive passing game coordinator who coaches under Vance Joseph, He interviewed for the Chargers head coaching job, defensive coordinator job. He also drew some interest from the Eagles and the Cowboys, I believe, but both of those teams have cooled off of Leonard. So right now, the only job up in the air for Jim, except for the Broncos, is looking like the Chargers. And I haven't heard anything there. So they want to replace their defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, who they lost. He took the Ravens head coaching job. The other big shoe to potentially fall here, except for Jim Leonard and Vance Joseph, everyone's asking about Davis Webb, the Broncos offensive passing game coordinator / quarterbacks coach. This is the one, guys. If there's one assistant the Broncos are likely going to lose, it's likely going to be Davis Webb. And yes, I see it's still blurry. When I get my mouse, I will fix the camera or try to. So bear with me once again. I apologize. I promise, though, the content will be worth it. Davis Webb, that's the one coach on Sean Payton's staff that's looking like he's going to defect to another organization. That organization could be the Las Vegas Raiders, who he's interviewing with this week now that the Broncos are eliminated from the postseason. By NFL rule, the Broncos coaches could not speak to outside organizations while the Broncos season was still alive. Now that it's over, that hurdle is no longer a factor. So Davis Webb will be meeting with the Raiders for their head coaching job. He also drew some interest from the Ravens for their OC job, and that would be a promotion for him as well, not a lateral move. And to top it all off, after they fired Sean McDermott, and now that the Broncos season is over, the Buffalo Bills are interested, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, in speaking with Davis Webb, and I believe Buffalo will be interviewing Davis Webb, if that wasn't done already, for their head coaching job. So that's where it stands with Webb. The Ravens have some interest for an OC position where he can call plays, and the Raiders and the Buffalo Bills have interest in Webb for their head coaching jobs. And whether he's qualified is a different story. I'm not totally sure yet. He's done an amazing work with Bo Nix and developing him, but how much of that really is him? How much of it is Sean Payton? And how much of it is just Bo Nix developing and growing as a quarterback and using his God-gifted abilities? I think Davis Webb could be a fantastic OC and a good head coach in the future. I just don't know at 31 or whatever he is, 31 years old, if he's necessarily ready or if he's just a product of the Broncos' success. I would prefer he stays in Denver and continues growing under the Sean Payton tree. But I understand, too, why Davis Webb would want to leave, start to build his own career, make his own path, call plays. He's not going to call plays in Denver for as long as Sean Payton's around. So let me just try to retrieve my mouse, and then we'll continue on with the podcast. Oh, let's see. Is it connected? Oh, look at that. My mouse is connected. Okay. All right, let's scroll now. Now that I could scroll, let's see what I missed here. And I'm sorry, guys, for the unconventional pod, but we're going to make it fun tonight. We're going to make it fun. Let's see. We got Casey Nickel. Okay, let's catch up. I see Pearl Heater. Thank you so much, Pearl, for the $4.99 super. Now let's see if this works. This has been a wow season of heart attacks. Here's to next year and our Mile High family. It has. If there's one positive thing, and look at that, my camera also focused. If there's one positive thing about this year or about the offseason now, it's that our hearts collectively can all calm down. Our blood pressure can all start to lower as a whole because, like you said, Pearl, from one game after another, I think back to the Giants game for, a lot of Broncos fans were there for, I was there for. I think back to the Texans game. I think back to the Eagles game. I think back to the Bills game. There was a lot of magic that took place this season in Mile High and outside of Mile High. And as I wrote on Twitter in my takeaways about yesterday's game, the magic simply ran out. That's all it was. Magic got them to the AFC Championship, and the magic ran out in the AFC Championship. And you could feel it. You could see it. You could feel it over the course of the game. You could see it on the players' faces. It looked like they were missing their best player. It looked like they were missing their leader. And it looked like for as hard as they tried, especially on defense, they just didn't have it. The magic was gone. So here's to next year. You're right, because the window is wide open and the Broncos are certainly not done yet. All right, so kind of a quieter chat Shannon saying, what a waste of Webb's talent. I assume you're talking about I don't know, Shannon, his current role with the Broncos or his prospective jobs elsewhere. You have to understand, for someone like Webb, who was a former quarterback just a few seasons ago, he was plucked by Sean Payton, one of the best offensive minds of the generation, put on his staff and fast-tracked to success. And as you're saying, the Raiders, yeah, I'll explain why in a second. It's not that crazy. I understand why it seems that way. From his point of view, staying in Denver is a higher floor, lower ceiling move. It's the safer bet for Davis Webb because the pressure wouldn't be on him as a head coach or as a play caller. He has a much more stable quarterback in Bo Nix, a better quarterback in Bo Nix than whatever the Raiders will have. But you have to understand the upside shot. For as long as Sean Payton is breathing and he's the Broncos head coach, Davis Webb will not be given a chance to call plays. And for someone who's 31 and starting to get that buzz around the NFL, how could you blame him for wanting to call plays and make his own path and make his own play sheet and not just be the assistant, to be the man, not to be the second in command? I totally get it. As it pertains to the Vegas job, I get why we feel that way. They're in the division. They were the worst team in the NFL, the worst record. They have the number 1 draft pick, but they're also going to have a ton of money to spend, a ton of cap space, like $100 million. They're going to draft a quarterback number 1 overall, more than likely. And that quarterback, I assume, will have a higher ceiling, Mendoza, than Geno Smith brought to the table. The coaching will be better than what Pete Carroll brought to the table. Whoever they hire is going to be more of a innovative mind, a newer school kind of mind than Pete Carroll was. And you look at who the Raiders have on offense. If you look at someone like Davis Webb, a tremendous running back in Ashton Genty, who all of us in Broncos country wanted Denver to draft last year. They have a really good tight end in Brock Bowers. And they have a couple of receivers that can be developed into complementary pieces. And they also have, again, money to spend, draft picks to allocate. They can make a trade for a receiver. They're going to be very active. I'm not saying they're going to be a Super Bowl contender next year, far, far from it. But I don't see the Raiders, if they get the head coaching hire correct, I don't see them being the worst record in the NFL either. And if it's Davis Webb, listen, if I was a Raiders fan, that's who I would want to hire. If I was a Steelers fan before they hired Mike McCarthy, I would have been screaming for Nate Scheelhaus, the Rams passing game coordinator. I would want a young, innovative offensive mind. That's the way the wind is blowing in the NFL nowadays. So from the Raiders' vantage point, this would actually be a very prudent move on their part. Vance Joseph, that would be a backward move if they would have made that, because they also had interest in VJ. But for right now, it seems like Webb is the favorite in Vegas, and I totally understand Vegas' interest. And from that point of view as well, I understand Webb's interest in that job. So we'll see how that materializes. And William's saying, and it's true, like the Raiders will draft a number 1 quarterback and he'll bust, maybe. I don't see Mendoza being a generational player. I don't even see him being a great player in the NFL. I think his hype is preceding him because the quarterback class is pretty weak and because he just won a natty. So, yeah, Pearl's not crazy about Mendoza either. That's kind of the consensus on him. He's going to be like one of the worst, or the weakest, I should say, number 1 overall quarterback selections in quite some time. Colby C. Collier jumping in. Thank you, Colby. $4.99 super. I'm not mad at taking the field goal. I'm mad at the game plan, and I'm not mad at not taking the field goal. I'm mad at the game plan and Stidham going backwards and losing the ball. Should have been drilled in not to. Well, Colby, you're right, because that's on Stidham as well. But I feel like I talk about this every game, every loss. I talked about it last night. There is this need in the fan base to demonize one player or one coach over another. There are multiple culprits at play as to why the Broncos lost yesterday's game. Stidham losing the ball was one of them. Absolutely. He had 2 turnovers. I kind of discount the interception because that was late in the game and they were kind of pressing in crunch time, whatever. But the fumble, yeah, he was praised for his ball security. There was all the confidence in Stidham, and he throws this like backward lateral, and it directly leads to 7 points for New England. And that was the deciding factor in the game. So yes, he's absolutely to blame for that. But it doesn't have to be one or the other where we blame Stidham or Sean Payton. They're not mutually exclusive. How about we blame both? Why not both? That's always the fun part. Why not blame multiple people? Because I am blaming Jarrett Stidham, who should have known better, who had a week to prepare for that game. And he was being put in a position where, as a game manager, you can't turn the football over. But I also very mad at Sean Payton as well for not going up 10 points and not taking a easy 3 in a game where you don't have your starting quarterback that you think could be a defensive back and forth. It's to not go up 2 possessions there. And then on top of that, Colby, to call a passing play with your backup quarterback. It's and even he admitted, Sean Payton, that he regrets it. Even he was critical of himself over that 4th down call. If he can go back and redo it, he would not have called the same play. So this is and I'm not blaming you. I'm not calling you out, Colby, but this is like this habit in the fan base of we have to blame one or the other. And in a losing effort, especially in a losing playoff game, there are multiple factors. And Sean Payton's 4th and 1 call is absolutely one, and Jarrett Stidham's fumble is absolutely one. Changed my mind. All right. Todd's saying, is that Todd? Yes. Stidham played like he had not played all year after that first score. Well, Todd, I mean, he hasn't. That's another thing, and I was going to say this to Chad yesterday and bring it up. I didn't get the chance to, but let's all realize Stidham for what he is, a backup. He's a backup for a reason. He only made 4 career starts before yesterday for a reason. So I don't know how much could be expected of him. You know, I talked about the gut punch that was the Bo Nix injury when it came out. And we all deluded ourselves that Stidham can be Nick Foles, and we all changed our profile pictures, and we all got on the Stiddy City hype and this and that. And it was fun, and it was endearing, and it united all of us. But I don't know about y'all. I'll speak for myself. There was always the overwhelming feeling in my heart, and I predicted a Broncos win, for full disclosure. But there's always the overwhelming feeling in here. As soon as I heard about the Bo Nix injury, that season was over. And I try to kind of tamp it down on the pod while I close the pod out after the Buffalo game. But how could you expect the Broncos to go into the AFC title game, no matter who they played, after losing their star quarterback, after losing the player that got them to that point? You really realistically can't. I don't know how much. You know what? I'll survey this and be honest. It doesn't matter now. Just be honest. Put your pride aside. How many of y'all, when we all heard about the Bo news, immediately got that sinking feeling like the Broncos are going to lose no matter what, or overwhelming feeling like it's not looking good? We could be honest with ourselves and say that with Stidham, the odds of winning that game dropped dramatically. We all wanted them to win. We all prayed and hoped. But how much of a surprise was it, Todd, when he turned the football over? How much of a surprise was it that the Broncos lost that game? Now, it was a very winnable game. Don't get me wrong. That's what makes it sting more. It would have stung a lot less if they lost like 34-0. But to lose 10-7 and you have the ball and you have a chance to either tie the game or take the lead in the 4th quarter at home, but then a blizzard hits out of nowhere. You can't prepare for that. Can't prepare for that. You can't prepare for Mother Nature to just say, you know what? Let me drop this on them real quick. You can't prepare for it. And I'm not excusing the Broncos. They're from Colorado. They practice in the elements. But the deck was so stacked against Stidham, not to excuse him. He was at fault for the fumble. But then you take into account the play calling. How many screen passes can one coach dial up in one game? How many unsuccessful runs up the middle with RJ Harvey can one coach dial up in one game? Stidham wasn't being helped out by his coach and his play caller yesterday. And I said the same thing about Bo Nix during the season at times. He wasn't helped out by his running game. He wasn't helped out by his receivers. Cortland Sutton dropping another pass. What's new? What a surprise. So I'm not exonerating Stidham. He should have played well, but I feel like it's not his fault that we all had those high expectations. We all drank the Kool-Aid because Sean Payton was dishing it out. We all drank the Kool-Aid because that's what fans do. We wanted the Broncos to win. We'll never say never. We'll always think they have a chance. But most of us, at least the objective ones, kind of have that resignation that once Bo Nix broke his ankle, they weren't going to advance beyond that point. They'll probably put up a fight. They'll keep it close. They'll take it down to the wire. And that's exactly what happened. But I don't know how many of you guys would have put a mortgage payment on yesterday's game if you had to, for the Broncos to win. And let me tell you, with how high mortgage payments are nowadays and how high and how hard it is, every dollar it is to come by, I would not have. Be totally real with you. I would not have put a mortgage payment yesterday on the Broncos to win that game because in my heart, I knew it was probably an uphill battle with Jarrett Stidham. And you can criticize me for that if you want. So, Todd, I didn't mean to use your comment here as like a platform to rant or whatever, but I just, between the comments that Sean Payton made, between how the fan base responded with the Stiddy hype, between the lack of a running game, the lack of receiving help, the elements, a really good Patriots defense, let's not take anything away from them, and also very questionable play calls. Is it really that much of a surprise that that's what Jarrett Stidham finished with? No, because that's what he is. He's a backup, and he played like a backup. If you had your number one quarterback in there, that result is much different. So it sucks, and that's why I said, I did my takeaways on Twitter yesterday, and my number one takeaway, I led with the fact that if the Broncos had Bo Nix, they would have won that game comfortably. Comfortably. The defense played their freaking asses off. Drake May did not impress me at all. The New England defense was good, but I think Bo Nix could have overcame them for at least a couple touchdowns. Could have put up more than 7 points. So it's unfortunate. It sucks, man, but what are you going to do? And Clifton, these are like apples and oranges and kind of non sequiturs here. Would you have put a mortgage payment on the Bills game? Yes, because the Broncos had Bo Nix. And in fact, I'm not going to pull it up now, but I have a tweet from, I think it is mid-October, where I said if the Broncos play the Bills in the playoffs, they will beat them. And I said, bookmark this. And not to pat myself on the back, but I was right about that. So yes, I would have because, and this is very simple, the Broncos had their number one quarterback. The Broncos had Bo Nix. So a completely different example than putting a mortgage payment on Jarrett Stidham in the AFC title game. All right. It is a quiet chat. I understand there's a lot going on tonight. Here's a good question from Donovan Rio. Did Sean say how close JK was to actually playing? Yeah, he talked about that a little bit, and it's easy to say in hindsight. But I thought what was more interesting, Donovan, was what JK said today. And as I mentioned, it was locker room clean out at Broncos Park where all the players came with a big old trash bag and threw their crap in a trash bag and left the premises for a few months. That's the brutal nature of losing a playoff game. But the beauty of that is the players are made available to the media during that. And JK was one of those players. And he said he's a Bronco for life now. As we all know, JK is a free agent in 2026. His contract is up. He hasn't played since week 10 or didn't play since week 10 with that Liz Frank injury. And he said he was this close, Donovan, to suiting up in yesterday's game. But he just couldn't get that final clearance. It didn't seem like the Broncos were comfortable throwing him out there less than 100%, which is what he would have been. It's a pretty serious injury, what he suffered, and he needs more time to recover, but he was pretty close to playing, and he goes, I absolutely would have played in the Super Bowl. Doesn't that suck? Doesn't that sting even more? If the Broncos would have won yesterday's game, so if the Broncos would have had Bo Nix, they would have won yesterday's game, they'd be in the Super Bowl playing the Seahawks. It would have been Bo Nix and J.K. Dobbins versus the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And man, I don't know how well Denver would have fared in that game regardless, but having your leading running back in the fold would have helped a lot. because the Broncos offense, and I can get into this with RJ Harvey, their rushing offense fell off a cliff without JK. And I don't know what they're going to do with him. You know, I love J.K. Dobbins, and he's always been effective when he's on the field throughout his career. At Baltimore, with the Chargers, with the Broncos, every time he's healthy, every time he plays in a game, he's productive. The problem is he's so rarely healthy. He gets hurt every season. And I got to be honest with you guys, and this applies to every player, not just J.K. Dobbins. I'm getting really sick of the Broncos signing injury-prone players, and they end up getting injured. I am really sick of that. It's one of the MOs of George Paton that I do not like, no matter who it is. I mean, look at Dre Greenlaw. Injury-prone player, got hurt, missed time. J.K. Dobbins, injury-prone player, got hurt, missed time. That's just two examples, top of my head. So as much as I loved what JK brought to the table, and he could definitely be an effective back if he comes back in 2026 with RJ Harvey, I just can't trust him. And at this point, I'm done playing games with Bo Nix's supporting cast. I am done. You want to know why I'm done? Because the Broncos right now on January 26th of 2026 are in the same boat as they were on January 26th of 2025. They still need a number one receiver. They still need a number one tight end. They still need backfield help. So I'm done playing around. They try nickel and diming and giving Cortland Sutton more money and waiting until the second round, using a first-round pick on a defensive back you do not need. We'll talk about Jahdae Barron if you guys want, but I am done nickel and diming when it comes to Bo Nix. He is the reason, largely, you got to the AFC title game. Now it is time, and he sacrificed everything, including his body, his livelihood. It is time now to reward Bo Nix by going all in on his supporting cast. Point blank, period, end of story. If that means bypassing J.K. Dobbins and spending more money for a more proven, reliable player, so be it. If it means drafting a running back in the first round, so be it. If it means trading for a running back, so be it. As long as they are an upgrade and they can help take the pressure off of number 10. That's the only thing that matters. All right, let me scroll the comments. This is the problem, guys. We don't have any producers, and I don't have a co-host, obviously. And when I go on these rants, I tend to lose my place. So let me, is the camera good? No, we're good. Okay. God, you guys make it so fun, man. I could be on here for 2 hours. I know we're already over 32, but this is the whole point, right? This is the whole point of tonight's show. It's an aftermath, kind of picking and choosing what to cover from yesterday's heartbreaking defeat. Ted Wunderlich, thank you so much for that super, Ted, $4.99. Also, we should have called an obvious pick play on 4th and 1 to give us a two-way go there. Either refs force to call it and we kick field goal, or we pick it up. Well, you're doing a lot of assuming there, Ted, that the Broncos would, or the refs would do the Broncos a favor. I still want to know how Drake May got that first down. How they didn't measure, how they just gave it to him, and that was that. I still want to know how that came to be, but I don't know that the refs would do the Broncos any favors. Regardless, it's one thing to not take the field goal there, which I believe they should have done. If they had Bo Nix, it's okay to go for it. You have your quarterback. But with a backup quarterback in a defensive game, take the freaking points, man. Go up 2 possessions. It's bad enough doing that, but then it's that play call. That's your play call. You could have just snuck it with Stidham, or how about giving it to Adam Prentice, a fullback dive? Those have worked like 100% of the time. You needed 1 yard. If you can't pick up 1 yard on the ground, you probably don't deserve to win the game in the first place. So it's bypassing the field goal is bad enough, but also doubling down on the play call with that play call with a backup quarterback and your RB2 technically with RJ Harvey. That's pretty unforgivable, but that's the problem with Sean Payton. And I know you guys don't do it, but there were people who were trolling me on Twitter, pulling up old tweets of mine from October and November when I said Sean Payton is a problem. And it's okay when the Broncos are winning. I got roasted for that. Oh, Sean Payton's not a problem now. You're just a hater. Well, he was a problem yesterday. And I'll repeat this because I was right back then and I am right now. The problem with Sean Payton is Sean Payton. It's his ego. It's his pride. He thinks he's the smartest coach in the stadium. And no one is going to outsmart the great Sean Payton. And you know what? A lot of the times he's right. A lot of the times he comes up with a very unique play call, a very good play design. He's a tremendous offensive mind who's forgotten more about football than I will ever hope to know. I'll give him his flowers. But indisputably, and I've heard this from Saints fans too over the course of his tenure, he's an egomaniac. And when he outsmarts himself, it's to the detriment of his quarterback, to his offense, and to his entire team. And that was prevalent. If you watch during the regular season, I brought it up pod after pod after pod. And then that problem kind of went away because he was calling better games and Bo Nix was bailing him out or the defense was bailing him out. But it really showed yesterday that Sean Payton, despite what he thinks, is not the smartest coach in the building at all times because Mike Vrabel out-coached the hell out of him yesterday. I know he had a backup quarterback, but that's how I feel. The Broncos' biggest problem are the Broncos. I've said this before. They get in their own way. They shoot themselves in both feet. If they stayed out of their way, they would win more games and more comfortably at that. But the main culprit in that, the culprit pulling the trigger, the shooter, so to speak, here, is Sean Payton. The biggest reason why the Broncos are the Broncos' biggest enemy, their own worst enemy, is because of the head coach. And if I said it about Vance Joseph when he was the head coach, if I said it about Vic Fangio, if I said it about Nathaniel Hackett, I can damn sure say it about Sean Payton, who's making $18 million a year, who the Broncos traded multiple high-round draft picks for, who the future of the organization rests in his hands. That's the Broncos' biggest problem. When it works, he's great. And when it doesn't, he's really exposed for what he is. All right. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Let me scroll through the comments. Keith is saying, what other coach would you take over Sean Payton, Zach? Honestly, I'd probably take Sean McVay, top of my head. I'd probably consider Kyle Shanahan. Because I don't know, Kyle Shanahan worked with Mac Jones this season, and he won games with Mac Jones. And I understand Sean Payton won games with, Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Siemian in the past, Siemian. But I feel like if Kyle Shanahan was the head coach yesterday, the Broncos would have won that game with Jarrett Stidham. And feel free to disagree. Everyone has an opinion. That's fine. There aren't too many, Keith, that I would take over Sean Payton, especially for developing Bo Nix. I think that's a very unique situation, and Bo Nix is as good as he is partly because of Sean Payton. But if you're asking overall, I'm a big fan of Sean McVay, and it's one guy that I would probably take over him. Absolutely. What else? Yeah, people are talking about Sean Payton getting fired. That's ridiculous. And I'll say that as someone who's criticized Sean Payton quite a bit, maybe more so than any other podcaster, whatever you want to call me. Absolutely ridiculous, insane, idiotic way of thinking. And I know you guys aren't necessarily thinking that. I know it's being parroted right now, but it's dumb. He's not going anywhere. He just took him to the AFC title game in his third season. His second season with Bo Nix, he won the AFC West, number 1 seed. He did a lot, to be clear. More good than bad. Way more. So let's pump those brakes right now. Sean Payton is not going anywhere, and he doesn't need to be going anywhere. He doesn't deserve to be fired at all. Doesn't mean they need to sign him to a lifetime extension. Doesn't mean we can't criticize him. There's a lot to criticize, but let's stop. I'm not going to even entertain talk about firing him. All right. What else? I don't know, Ariel. Maybe you're a Patriots fan. I don't know if you're talking to me, but I don't think that I'm crying at all. I gave the Patriots defense credit. They came to play yesterday. I was not impressed with Drake May. Sue me. It's my opinion. I wasn't that impressed. And I haven't been that impressed with him this postseason. He's going to be a really, really, really good quarterback in the NFL for years to come. And I cannot wait for the first true Bo Nix versus Drake May head to head. But even if I was a natural observer, if I didn't cover the Broncos professionally, I would come out of that game very unimpressed with Drake May. So whatever. You can say I'm crying if you want. I think just because I'm being passionate doesn't mean I'm crying, but whatever. Anyway, George saying, Zach, you're talking to the world, but I want to thank you and everyone in MHH for everything. Win or lose, hit the thumbs up, guys. Thank you, George. And thank you guys so much. I don't get to, I love potting with Chad, but I never really get to talk to you guys one-on-one and let my hair down and just kind of vibe with you. And thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for all the support and the generosity consistently. I mean, you guys, quite frankly, do not have to be doing what you're doing. And Chad and I talk about it off camera all the freaking time. We are blown away. Seriously. And we have been for years now. It has not gotten, like yesterday's news. It has not gotten to be old hat. We are blown away by your generosity, guys. And so George, everyone listening right now, thank you so much for a tremendous season. And just keep your heads up, keep your chins up, knowing that the best is definitely still yet to come with the Broncos. Let me just make sure I have the chat working here. Okay, the mouse is still working. Yeah, let me just give you guys, I don't know how many of you guys work with a wireless mouse, but there are so many pitfalls to consider. I know it's a random aside, but technology, man, I feel like I'm getting like unk status. I'm getting old. I'm 36 and I feel like I'm 56 with how I feel about the world nowadays. Just as a quick little soapbox, technology and social media, it's all crazy, man. The world is passing me by. But Phil, I see that you sent some stars. Listen, man, we don't have Scott in the building today. We don't have Chad. It's just me here. So anyone, Phil, anyone who sent stars and I haven't flashed it, I haven't gotten to you, I am not ignoring anyone. I'm so sorry if I did. We will make it up to you on the next show when we have everyone in the building. But Chad and Scott are traveling to the Senior Bowl. It's just me, so I don't have that access, Phil, on the back end. So I can just see basically YouTube and the supers and stuff. So thank you for the stars. And I apologize for not flashing them. All right, let me get to some of the supers really quickly. 42 minutes is crazy, guys. I can't believe how fast it goes. You guys make it so fun. Let me, I know I've been all over the place today, but I've been having a blast. Let me get to some of the supers now. CJ Invest, $1.99. Thank you, CJ. Mr. Third Down, Cortland Sutton, sure look like it. I don't know if that's sarcasm, CJ. I'm assuming it is because Cortland Sutton, yeah, he might have been good on third down over the course of the regular season and fourth down as well. I think he led the NFL in receptions on those downs. But when you need him the most in the red zone, in the end zone, boy, does he come up short. I love Court, and he's been through a lot, and he deserves to find success with the Broncos. But, man, has he alligator-armed a lot of passes for a supposed wide receiver one. And let me plug this back in for a second. I want to talk more about Cortland Sutton, but I want to make sure I have enough battery for the end of the pod. And, again, this is what I'm talking about. Guys, never get wireless mice. They will end your life. They will ruin your life. I want to make sure we're good, though. So hang on one second. Come on. Get in there. All right. Hang on. All right. Forget it. We're good. Okay. It's not going to work for me. So Cortland Sutton, this is why, let's get to my Broncos point really quickly. This is why I want the Broncos to literally, whatever they have to do, drafting, trading, signing every resource. I don't care if it's Garrett Wilson from the Jets. I don't care who they target. I don't care if they use their 30th overall draft pick on a receiver. They need to upgrade there. Cortland Sutton ideally is a tremendous wide receiver too. Ideally, he is not a wide receiver one. He drops way too many passes, and that was proven. He thinks he's this Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase. He is the furthest thing from that. He is a poor man's version of T. Higgins from Cincinnati. That's it. The Broncos still need their Jamar Chase, period. All right, before my mouse dies, I just can't seem to plug it in. We got Ted. Oh, I'm sorry, Ted. I didn't see your first Superman. I'm sorry about that. Ted Wonderly, 499. Thank you, man. This might be the perfect storm for us long term, fueled by a playoff loss, absent the animosity because of Bo's injury, even if giving it to New England felt icky. Yeah, the Broncos do thrive on the motivation, and you know this will be sticking in their craw going into 2026. The problem, Ted, obviously, is you have to wait now until next September for the next season to start and the Broncos to start work to get back up into that mountain, to get back to the mountaintop, because they were right there. They were right there. And it's so hard. So many things have to break your way. So many things have to go correct for you to get to the AFC title game and host it at home. So it's a bitter pill to swallow. There's no guarantee the Broncos are going to get back there, but they will use this as fuel, like you said. And if there's any team that's set up for sustained success going forward, it is the Denver Broncos. So thank you for that, Ted. I got Colby. I got Shannon. Let's see. I got David Yunkin. Webb to the Bills. Thank you, David. Webb to the Bills, not the Raiders. Don't want to play him twice a year. Yeah, that would be interesting, too. If I was Davis Webb, it's very intriguing, the opportunity to go coach the Buffalo Bills, to not only get a head coaching job, but to work with a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, MVP and Josh Allen, reigning MVP anyway, a ready-made Super Bowl contender, or at least a perennial playoff contender. If I'm Davis Webb, I'm jumping at that job and not staying in the AFC West where I'd have to face Sean Payton twice a year. And also, from our vantage point, if Davis Webb is the next Sean McVay, the next genius coach, yeah, I would prefer he's out of the division. The division has too many good coaches as it is. All right, I see we have Joey, $20 super. Thank you, Joey, for this. Hope you're having a tremendous evening. All year, when the offense stayed simple and just let Bo play, it looked better. When Sean kept getting cute was when the 3-and-outs happened, and we all seen it. He just needs to let go of his ego, and hopefully he will. Well, Joey, that's a lot easier said than done for someone like Sean Payton. It really is. For someone like Sean Payton, his ego will always win out because he has a Super Bowl. He coached a future, or is he in the Hall of Fame yet? Drew Brees? Was he inducted? I don't know. If he's not, he's going to be first ballot, obviously. He's had a lot of success in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for quite a long time. So from his vantage point, like, why shouldn't he think that way? Like, his crap doesn't stink a little bit. Okay, Breeze is going in this year. Thank you, Test Prep. I wasn't totally sure. So it's still, the point still remains. His ego will always be there. And I've had Saints fans tell me the same thing. That was his biggest downfall as the Saints coach, was his pride and his ego. If he just gets that under control, he could be even better as a head coach, even better as a play caller, and Bo Nix could benefit because of it. But I don't know if that's going to happen too well. Before I forget, though, we have a little bit of programming to get to. Before I get out of here, guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where you get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the USA, and it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or anything else you have going on. It's seriously amazing. Goldbelly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, real Philly cheesesteaks, or even the legendary Franklin's barbecue straight from Texas to your door. And with Valentine's Day approaching, they also have great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O. The Philly cheesesteak really caught my eye. It was absolutely delicious. It was high-quality grubbed, delivered straight to my door, and it lived up to the lofty expectations I had and the legend of the Philly cheesesteak. It was like having a culinary piece of Philly shipped to me hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know where you're going to get quality-wise from online food ordering sites, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers. I promise you guys, this tasted amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MileHigh. That's goldbelly.com, code MileHigh for 20% off your first order. Okay. What else we got? Let me see the comments. I didn't miss any supers. I think we're all caught up in supers. We're at about 49 minutes. I'm going to start winding down. Again, guys, if I missed any comments or stars, anything that I didn't address previously, I do apologize. It's just me this evening. Chad and I are back in the saddle together on Thursday. So we'll address anything we didn't get there. Really quickly, before I get out of here, though, I do want to talk about the 6 players the Broncos signed to futures contracts today, reserve futures contracts. It's all customary after the end of the season, but this is the 6 they signed to futures deals. Linebacker Lavelle Bailey, defensive tackle Jordan Miller, tight end Caleb Lohner, offensive lineman Calvin Throckmorton, and running backs Deuce Vaughn and Cody Schrader. All 6 of those players ended the season on the Broncos practice squad. Throckmorton and Bailey appeared in regular season games for Denver this season. And we all like the upside of Caleb Lohner, the rookie tight end who did not appear in a regular season game. He was elevated before the Buffalo game from the practice squad, but was made inactive. So he'll be back on a futures deal. That's the 6 they signed. And I think that is going to do it for me, unless you guys have any other comments or questions or concerns. I see Todd said someone said something about firing George Paton, which is also absurd. Yeah, I think George Paton, honestly, Todd, he's going to get a extension. I think the Broncos will sooner extend George Paton than fire George Paton and pair him. And by extending him, they would pair him with Sean Payton for the long term. Got your super CJ Bronco Danny saying change the play caller possibly. That's not going to happen. I'd be shocked if Sean Payton, and despite how brutal the loss was, I'd be shocked if Payton looked himself in the mirror, had a come to Jesus moment, and said, "All right, I'm stepping down as the offensive play caller." And you know what? Even if he did, he would sooner probably give play calling duties to Joe Lombardi, his boy, the actual offensive coordinator who doesn't really do anything. So there's no guarantee, even if Sean Payton stepped down, that he would give play calling duties to Davis Webb. But that's not going to happen. For as long as Sean Payton's the head coach, and as long as they've tasted success, and I understand it from his point of view, he's thinking, listen, I just won 14 regular season games and a playoff game. I was this close with a backup quarterback to making the Super Bowl. Why should I give up play calling duties? Why should I come off my perch when I've done that well? I'm making $18 million a year, and I have consolidated that much power within the organization. So it's not going to happen. A lot of hindsight questions now. So we have should we have taken Harold Fannin over RJ Harvey, the tight end? He looked great in Cleveland. Harold Fannin did, and listen. Evan Ingram said today it's been disappointing, and he didn't. His production didn't align with the expectations the Broncos had for him. So I don't know about trouble in paradise. I don't know if Sean Payton promised him one role before he signed, and then over the course of the season, that role did not materialize. I think Evan Ingram is a little washed, personally. I think he had trouble separating from watching him play. So I would definitely prefer Denver upgrading tight end. It doesn't have to be a day one need, especially over a receiver or even a running back, but they need another tight end that can do something with the ball in their hands, because the likes of Adam Troutman, Lucas Kroll, Nate Adkins, I'm tired of the nickel and diming. I'm tired of the duct tape and gum to hold up the supporting cast around Bo Nix. Let's open up the purse strings. This is a team that's owned by freaking Walmart, for God's sake. The Russell Wilson dead cap is off the books. There's no excuses anymore. Bo Nix deserves it. Bo Nix sacrificed his body. He gave it his all. He got the Broncos to the AFC title game with not much of a supporting cast. So the least they can do is get another tight end and another receiver and another running back at minimum. All right. Ronk saying, great show tonight. Zach on the MHH podcast. Go Bo Broncos. Thank you, Ronk, the mayor of the MHH podcast. Let me do my shouts, my matters of business before my mouse dies again. That was the MHH podcast. If you haven't done so yet, please follow us on X at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle. Myself at Kelberman NFL. Chad, my co-host at Chad N. Jensen. Scott, our producer at Scout Kennedy. If you guys haven't, please drop us a like at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. You can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so, be sure to join our new Discord channel. The link to it is in the description below. Come hang out with us. Come talk with us. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, 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 very important, as you see ticking below you, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you. All right, so I'm going to take one last perusal through the comments. And, okay, hit the like button for Zach. String Guy says, yes, guys, if you haven't done so yet, I see a lot of people, a lot of activity, not a lot of likes. Hit those thumbs up. If you support the brand, if you support me, Chad, the operation, if you support the Broncos, hit those thumbs up. Like the video. Thank you for that, String Guy. Thank you for that, Todd. Great show. Thank you for that, Pearl. It's always fun doing solo shows. I love talking with you one-on-one. I don't get the opportunity much. And if you guys want more of this, be sure to join me on Tuesdays, noon Mountain Time, 2 o'clock Eastern, for Kelberman's Corner. I'll be on live tomorrow for about a half hour. Hot takes that hold water. It's just more solo time with me and y'all. Kelberman's Corner, Tuesdays, noon Mountain. Members only. So if you're a member, be sure to join me then. I think that's going to do it, though. My voice is starting to go. We're on 56 minutes. Thank you all so deeply for joining me today, for joining us over the course of the season. It's been a blast. It's been a ride. It's not the greatest ending to the season. We're all still kind of recovering from it. It's going to take a few weeks for us to get over and process everything. But those 2 weeks will happen. We will get over it. We'll be on to 2026, and there's a lot to look forward to with the Denver Broncos. The best is still yet to come. The window is still wide open. So thank you all for joining me this evening. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday. I'll see some of y'all tomorrow, hopefully more of you, for Kelberman's Corner, noon Mountain, 2 Eastern, and then Chad and I are back in the saddle together on Thursday, normal time, for the MHH podcast. Have a great start to your week. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.